This is nothing, right? Let's see. Well, there's lots of people that enjoy the Lufia 3 and 4, but generally speaking, they're not seen in a very good light. Dude, Tigerdeath is like, Lufia 2 is so buggy, yet it's such a good game. I love it. And there's so many underwhelming parts of the game design, and you just like, it doesn't matter. You just like, you don't care. You just love it. I don't know. Yeah, there's 4 Lufia games. Yeah, it's true. Okay. Yeah, I don't think there's anything with the tower anymore. Well, there's actually a room that's really important for the story that's required to go into, where the tile set was given the wrong tile set, and it's super like buggy, weird, jumbled nonsense, and you have to like basically blindly find your way through to wherever you're supposed to go, and it's like, it doesn't matter. You don't care. Yeah, there's one that's required, and then there's one that's optional. The gems for the towers, that's Lufia 1. I mean, it's not even like technically optional. It's like straight up optional. I guess just return and figure this out. You must do everything! That's true, the European version has it all fixed, but still. The translation is really bad. Like, they translate Gollum to Gorum and stuff like that. I mean, it doesn't matter. The game's just good. They took out all the crosses in the game, but they forgot one in one of the towns later on because, like, religious censorship and stuff. And that's another like weird thing about the game. Like, it just was so haphazardly slapped together in a programming sense. But like the actual story and combat and everything's super good. It's just one of those games that proves that certain aspects of game design are more important than others, you know? Yeah, the censorship in the 90s and 80s was super weird. Basically, what was going on in the 80s and 90s is games and this kind of like visual media was very new. Heck, even movies from a popularity perspective were still kind of new. So like they were kind of still figuring out what they wanted to censor and what they didn't want to based on the social climate at the time, and things changed and they realized, you know, that isn't important, but this is, and da-da-da-da-da. And it took until about 2000 before they were like, oh, okay, this is how we want it. And they stopped censoring things like alcohol and started censoring things like cigarettes. And they stopped censoring swearing, and they stopped censoring some nudity or sexuality. And they stopped censoring, what else? More adult themes, you know. But yeah, it also had a lot to do with the fact that gamers were growing up and they were rapidly becoming adults, and they wanted games that were more for their age. Yeah, I mean, but that's kind of like the theme of Castlevania, though, right? It would seem weird not to have that, because it's meant to be religious in nature, you know? You were a vampire hunter, you're hunting the cursed demons, as a holy night kind of thing. You know, it's based around Catholicism as a whole, and generally speaking, you know. I think that's kind of an important part of it, you know. But again, it had a lot to do with like the themes of the game and what was like it portraying, and just having a cross was, you know, deemed. Hold on a second. Thank you, Crixie, for the 26 months, and we figured out where to go. Yay. This is House of Healing. So like, okay, on the NES, there's a game called Bible Adventures. It's straight up like, hey, this is a Christian game, you know, like this is based on Christianity, everything. You save animals and put them on Noah's Ark and stuff, you know. So like the game was based around it. But a game like Zelda isn't trying to like denote one faith or another. So when you put a cross in the game, you're saying Christianity, I support this, you know, and that is where they draw the line. And they go, okay, you know, we're not trying to support an agenda here. Let's censor out the crosses because that means something more meaningful in the US, but not in Japan. Japan doesn't care if it's a cross. Like, whatever, who cares? Like, their entire country is like 4% Christian. Like, to them, it's just, oh God, these look scary. It's just like it's like us putting like a, I don't know, some other meaningless symbol out there. But anyway, the point is, it doesn't mean anything to them. It's just a representative of a grave. So, you know, in the US they censor it because they're not trying to push an agenda. They're trying to be neutral. And, you know, for a game called Bible Adventures, well, obviously they're trying to push an agenda, right? So it's different. Yeah, it's the same reason why we like Japan, because it's exotic. Exactly. In fact, a lot of Japan's, like, exotic things that they pull from that are exotic to them are from German. Like, how many weapons are named Zweihander in a game, you know? There's a lot of German language references, things like that, in their video games. And anime. Oh, he got heal more. Good job, Lars. Upside down crosses are definitely going to be censored no matter what. But now, I mean, back in the 90s anyway, they were going to be. Not so much nowadays. It would just get a higher ESRB rating. But yeah, it took them a while before they kind of figured out like what they wanted, was important for them to censor, and it also depended heavily on the scope of the game. You know, Castlevania is based around that, so they didn't want to censor those out. Whereas something like Zelda is neutral, it's Nintendo. They didn't censor crosses in Satan, at least not as many as I think. I mean, I think Satan is at the point where that kind of thing was not really done anymore. PlayStation, yeah. A Facebook group I'm in had a question about naming pets and kids after anime or video game characters. So cringy. The OP commented about Japan using such unusual and unique names. I honestly think he doesn't realize that they're not that crazy or unique there. Give me an example. Oh, no, I mean, I got the joke, Drac. I was just commenting on the actual literal aspect of it, because, I mean, like, there are parts of it. Oh, I see what I have to do now. I gotta take the wind cloak and I gotta drop off the top from the north to get across the river, I bet. Okay. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That's kind of what I was getting at. Is I don't think they actually did, but I mean, yeah, I got the joke. I'm just kind of I'm in explanation mode, so I didn't really stop to consider it. Well, Chronos, the reason some games are censored and some aren't is because it depends on what ESRB rating they're going for. If they're going for a teen-rated game, some things have to be censored in different cultures. Culture, that's important. Culture is not about the country itself, it's about the culture that the culture that is housed within the country, you know? And, like, if you're going for a teen-rated game, some things have to be censored, you know, like cigarettes and excessive sexuality or nudity, you know, stuff like that. Too much swearing, I think you get, like, everything up to the F word. Anything worse is considered, you know, MA. In Japan, what is considered offensive or needs to be censored is different. Like, for instance, alcohol does not need to be censored. Back in the 90s anyway, it didn't need to be censored. And that's important to denote the difference. So, like, if you need to go for a certain ESRB rating, it's required that censorship take its place. But generally speaking, in games nowadays, nothing is censored unless you want to take it down a rating. So there are plenty of MA-rated games that don't censor anything. The difference is, like, here's the thing. Generally speaking, you want your game or movie or source of media to be PG-13 because that is the highest grossing rating of all of them. So when people make a movie or a TV show or a game, generally speaking, they're going for the PG-13 rating because that is the most likely to get the most amount of sales. If making something R-rated or MA-rated games or stuff like that, you're going to get a lower amount of people that purchase that content. Some MA-rated games sell great, like GTA, but I mean, if you compare that to a lot of other games that are not MA-rated, GTA is not the highest selling game, you know? But also keep in mind, Midnight Spiro, that before there were no requirements on purchasing an MA-rated game, and anybody could go into the store and get it. Now they ID check, which they didn't used to do. But the point I'm trying to get at, Phenochronos, is that games aren't really actually technically censored. They're only censored to appeal to a certain culture based on what rating they're going for. There are plenty of games that do not take any censorship whatsoever. And most of the censorship was in the 80s and 90s, and nowadays it's fine. Yeah, I remember candy cigarettes. They even had paper around it. It's really annoying to eat them. Alright, we're gonna restore up and then go head up to over to the tower. Well, I mean, dude, like, if a joke is offensive to a certain people, yeah, we're gonna censor it, man. Like, you're gonna put like a homophobic joke in there just cause? Like, in Japan, the homophobic joke might be fine and nobody gives a damn because Japan's still really close-minded with that stuff. Are we just gonna leave it in just cause? Just cause we don't want to censor it? No, of course not. We're above that. And to be upset by it, I think, only proves that you're still in that mindset. I'm not saying that you are. I'm just saying, like, that's a perfectly reasonable censorship thing. Like, you got to appeal to the crowd that you're delivering your product to. You know, you can't just, like, keep in racist or sexist or homophobic jokes just because it's part of the original. You know? Japan is a different people. They don't have the same sensitivities or you know, cultural advancements as other cultures do. We'll say what I think BG's saying too. Even if the government doesn't censor games, there would still be the cultural and societal pressures that would institute some form of it. End of the day, we need to appeal to the mass market and not considering their interests is a good way to lose sales. Well, that and just not being offensive. Just don't be an offensive prick, you know? Like, there's no reason to. Yeah. Yosuke's behavior towards kanji is perfectly fine, but a joke and 1% of the game is a homophobic joke. If a homophobic joke is homophobic, it's still homophobic. Period. Like, period. You know? The era that it allows itself to squeak into a game or a source of media doesn't forgive it, you know? Like, I mean, it kind of does, but it just shows its age, you know? Like, Persona 5 is a new game. It's modern, okay? It does not have any room for homophobic jokes. If it's part of the storytelling in that someone is being homophobic and they're like being, you know, outed as that and they suffer because of it and they're meant to be a jerk, that's one thing. But if it's like casual joke like ha 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 homophobia, ha ha ha, that's not funny. It's not interesting. Like creating a racist character and you know that they're racist and you hate them because of that. That's like part of character growth. You're making a character that is a piece of shit and you want to hate them. That's part of like storytelling. That's okay. But just offhanded remarks are not. That's what I'm getting at. Just like casual conversation amongst the group to be like, you know, a piece of shit is not a good way to write your game. Yeah, I think the biggest problem is that like you're considered, you know, overly offensive if you're a marginalized group getting made fun of, and you just want to be included as part of the greater population. You just want to be left alone, and perpetuating that marginalization only serves to hurt us. Yeah, no problem. We can move on. Oh, Honk got a level, 3 power, 6 reaction, but only 2 HP. Feels bad. But yeah, we can move on. That's all I wanted to say on that. I think that's pretty much nail in the coffin on that discussion anyway. So. No, Dio Dance, you're super wrong there, man. I'm afraid you're super wrong, but we're gonna move on. Oh yeah, Taggernut, tell me about the... Just pull an Arby dupe. Oh, feels good. Wait, how do you get an Arby from summoning for Cerise? It's on a... you can't get Moonlights on banners. Oh, they got... oh, okay. Arby is Arbiter Vildred. Multiple roast beefs. All the roast beefs. Yeah. You know, oh my god! What the? I'm killing them. I'm killing them. These things are gonna die. What the hell? Oh man. You set it up. Oh my god. What the hell is this encounter? I'm burning them to the ground. All they do is cast heal. That's all they do. They just cast heal. They don't do anything else. Yeah, just a heads up, when I say drop it, just delete the message you have typed up for future reference. I'm leaving it for now, but that's the way to handle it in the future, please. They did attack Alani? Oh, I've never seen them attack before. But I would love to get that formation again, because that was a huge amount of XP. The reason I say that, Tribble, is because if, like, someone just finishes what they're typing or whatever, then it keeps the conversation going instead of it being a hard cutoff point, you know? I know it's frustrating, I get it. You're just like, but I want to say my final thing, I had this typed up already. You just gotta bite your tongue, you know? But I get it. Have they announced the characters yet? In the ooh, Metal Slime, baby. Let's go. Metal Slime with something, which is interesting. Aww. Controversial topic, BGG is not a good gamer. Changed my mind. Yeah, but remember that time when I searched randomly in the swamp and I found the Erdrick seal? So, I mean, check and mate, so, you know. Oh, yeah, of course, yeah. Thou hast done well in defeating the enemies. The Billy Mays. Okay. Could you not? Could you not? Bradowski Sanson isn't stronger than Goku. How dare you? How dare you? Yeah, he's way stronger than Goku. And what's up, Azrael? How many people here want to see BGG suffer through the original quartet of dot hack games? Oh man. Quartet? Yeah, there's 4 of them. You'd suffer watching. Hey, hang on. You should hang on to those games. They're valuable, man. They're harder to come by. You don't gotta worry about that. You should just keep them forever and ever and ever and ever, ever and ever and ever and ever and ever. Okay, so I played the Dot Hack Infection, I think is what the first one is. Well, I do want to play them. I'm actually quite curious about them, but yeah. Curious. I mean, the story started to get interesting. But anyway, as far as the original Dot Hack games go, yeah, they're pretty bad. They're incredibly, like, bare bones. It's like Quest 64, except for you actually have a story. That's the best way I could explain it. Like, The mechanics are there, but the game was not balanced or fleshed out whatsoever. The world design is completely basic and in no way, shape, or form has any sort of like actual good design to it. It's really shitty. But like the story actually was interesting. It piqued my interest a little bit. So I don't have an Atari, so good luck with that. Aha! Ooh, vendor. Dost thou know what I know? Yeah, but I have not spoken yet. Oh. These twin towers are known as the Dragon's Horn. Okay. Great. Getting all grunties? I don't think there's a guide for that though, wouldn't I? We're talking about the actual original Dahak infection, quarantine, blah, blah, blah. The biggest problem I had with the story of Dahak was like, just right when it began, for Dahak infection anyway, the game ended. The game started to have a story. It's like, story is happening, you're about to get the stuff, and then it's like credits. You're just like, what? But I was getting the story. I feel like I can fall off the edge if I move over it, so I don't wanna. Oh god, this D-pad is kind of wonky sometimes. I'm using a Dogbone NES controller. For those that don't know what that means, just Google search Dogbone NES controller. It's basically an NES controller, but shaped in the shape of a dog bone instead. Oh, that looks scary. Medusa Ball. What a name. Yeah, I mean, honestly though, Vazril, you've given so much. You really shouldn't feel compelled or pressured or anything to do that. Oh, okay, thanks, Dracorius. I think it's a Facebook thing, which means I won't be able to engage it because I don't have a Facebook. Medusa has balls. No, she is a ball. Yeah, I was right. That's what we gotta do. Nice. Oh dear. I really just want to get to the next town. I really just want to get to the next town. I'm scared! Technically, the DQ Builders 2 is a direct sequel to this game, yeah, but really what it does is it kind of just mirrors it. in a way, but also being its own unique thing at the same time. It's kind of, yeah, it's good though. It's good. Okay, good. Look at that Mudman's face. Hi. Hi, I'm a Mudman. Hi. Hello, hi. One of the things I really like about the game's design is that the paths to towns are almost always like plains. You can almost always know where to go to the next town by following the path of like plains tiles.